Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the next episode of the BRIO in the Box podcast. Here we are, beginning of June.
Yep.
It should be summer, but it is not.
It is windy as hell, and it is rainy and chilly. And
yeah. So anyway, what have you been reading? What have you been learning the last little bit?
I'm a little bit upset today. I recently read something that was very discouraging that stems back to one of the podcasts we did in the past. So we did that big mental health podcast, and I had talked at length about the possibility of MDMA becoming the newest and most effective treatment for PTSD. And they were going through this decade-long process of trying to get approval from the FDA, trying to get the scheduling changed. And they've recently just officially announced that it has been denied. So the FDA has denied the use of MDMA for the treatment of PTSD. Which
is the absolute biggest pile of horseshit imaginable.
It is so ridiculous because they said the safety was concerning, that the risks outweigh the rewards, which is hilarious because it was the safest option out of what, like, taking pills for the rest of your life is safer than taking a little bit of MDMA under supervision 3 times in your whole life. Like, that's crazy. They said that the studies there's flaws in the studies, which is also ridiculous because the FDA helped create the studies. They helped MAPS create the studies and then said, no, the studies aren't good enough. It's like, can't be part of the creation process. And then
like the study design.
Yeah. They helped create the study design because they wanted to make sure that they had taken care of all of their, but put everything out there that needs to be out there. And then after the studies were completed, they said, no, there's flaws in the studies. It's just like, it's so hard not to get all conspiracy theory about it because Big Pharma is in control, and basically this is not a pill you can sell. You can't own it. It's not something you can get people to take for the rest of their lives and make money off of it. It is 3 doses. It's not an ongoing thing. You can't make money off of it. So,
and it makes people better.
And it works. That's what's so frustrating.
Have people getting better.
Yeah.
It's not allowed. And this isn't even conspiracy theory type stuff. This is just like things that are out there as like factual, not even hidden pieces of data. It's a revolving door between FDA regulators and people that go work for the pharmaceutical industry. It's basically the same team, what they call regulatory capture. And there's these are undeniable facts. There's a lot of money in the pharmaceutical companies. There's a lot of money in the depression and anxiety treatments, the medications that people, like you said, stay on for the rest of their lives, and they don't make anybody better. Yeah. We went over that in depth, all of the various studies and long-term data statistics in our mental health series that we did last May. So people can go back to that. We talked about how antidepressants don't improve patient quality of life over the long term. And if they don't do that, then what are they for? Right? They come with incredibly huge, long laundry list of side effects, including increased risk of suicide, which I don't know how those things are approved. MDMA we have safety concerns about MDMA. Opiates and opioids continue to be Schedule 3, but MDMA has safety concerns. I don't know how we live in this timeline, this reality. It's like insanely disheartening. It makes me feel like sick to my stomach.
Yeah, it's super depressing because like there are millions of people out there doing MDMA for like recreational reasons, which is obviously a very different thing, but the amount of deaths that's occurred from MDMA are very few, like minimal. And this is not recreational MDMA. This is supervised, medically guided MDMA use. And the amount of medically guided opioids that are prescribed every day and how many people are dying because of all of that. Yeah. It's crazy that they're saying, oh, MDMA is too dangerous. Like, I don't know. It's super disheartening. Who knows, like Australia is in the process of doing it. So it's not that Canada won't be able to. Hopefully we won't follow the same path that the States does, but it just, I don't know. It's just one more reason that the States is just a dumpster fire.
Yeah. I know, it really sucks. And Canada's much more, liberal with our policies towards those. And it was looking quite certain
Yeah.
that MDMA was going to be reclassified as a Schedule 3 in Canada, like by the end of 2024-ish. So I guess we'll, still hold out and see what happens with.
Yeah. It just sucks. Hopefully, because Australia is already doing something different, and hopefully Canada will do something different, that there will be a possibility for people to get help out there. I've been following the whole MAPS thing for quite a long time now. And I just feel so bad for all the people involved, because like literally decades of work,
a lifetime worth of work to try to get this through. And you can go and find Rick Doblin as the head of MAPS, many podcast interviews with him. I just feel like he's such a pure person.
Yeah.
He's just stuck with this fight for so long, not for profitability reasons, not for personal gain, but just because he knows it can help people. And he's seen the power of it all the way from back in the 80s, before it was made a Schedule 1, when it was helping people, and then it had to go underground, and the underground psychotherapy whole world. And then he has stuck with this battle throughout his entire career, trying to go through all of the legal channels. And it was looking so certain, because all the research was so positive and just blowing every other treatment out of the water. People with treatment-resistant PTSD that literally nothing else worked. 80% of them, after, like you said, 3 MDMA treatments a month apart, were no longer meeting the diagnostic criteria for PTSD. And if that isn't just a long-winded way of saying a cure, they're like, no longer have the thing. So a lot of that research was done in veterans, and there was foundations set up for like veteran mental health, people, that had struggled, or first responders, people that have been afflicted with PTSD in the course of doing their job. And all of these people, like the heroes of society, the ones that run towards trouble when the rest of us run away from it, are now just can't get the help they need to get their mental health back, which is just,
it's unfortunate.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, this kind of ties into like, there's a lot of problems with healthcare out there.
Yeah.
The state of, everyone's physical and mental health. On a much more positive note, CrossFit launched the CrossFit Medical Society yesterday. There's a lot of us on the inside, on this side of CrossFit, that are like, we need to fix healthcare, and like people need to expect better. People should be getting better results from taking care of their health, and that the CrossFit gym and the doctor's office should not be so far away from each other. They shouldn't be at such extreme ends of the human health spectrum, that we should be on the same side of things. And so, the CrossFit Medical Society, follow it on Instagram or go to their website, CrossFitMedicalSociety.com. Anybody can sign up. An affiliate owner and just a community member can sign up for free. And then you just get to get the newsletter every month. You get to be a part of, what's going on. There is licensed practitioner, like a healthcare directory, where they'll verify you're the licensed healthcare practitioner. You go into a directory, so kind of helping people find the CrossFit docs, the people that get it. Right. A doctor that's not going to tell you to eat 11 servings of whole grains and that you don't need to exercise, or that walking is enough, or like any of this stuff that just doesn't create health, or, here's your statins and take these pills and whatever. So the people that get it. So if you have a medical license of any kind, this is not just exclusive to the US. They're absolutely hoping to make like a global network of people. They're also launching a 1-day healthcare practitioner course to try to get more information about the CrossFit methodology into the hands of healthcare professionals, people in the clinic.
Right.
So
yeah, it's good. It's time for a change. Like clearly the system's not working. There's a lot of unhealthy people out there, and I think the more we can get the message out of what's really going to work and what's going to turn life around. And the answer is, it's not Ozempic. It's exercising really hard and eating really well, and
being connected to a community of cool people that support you in that, and doing it for life. Consistently. Maybe having a little fun while you're at it too.
Yeah. And it's actually pretty cool. So you're actually going to be involved in this.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be involved in this. I made some great connections when I was down at CrossFit for Health conference in Austin in February, and just sort of been putting lots of information out there about science and nutrition for lots of years. So I will be writing a nutrition-related article for the newsletter in August. I'll be doing a grand rounds at the end of August, presenting to just try to bring more information about nutrition to healthcare practitioners as well. So stoked to be a part of it and contribute and promote it in whatever way that I can, because I think this is the way. CrossFit is the way. Yeah.
Have you put any thought on what you're going to write about yet?
Yeah, they gave me kind of free rein to pick whatever topic I want. And I feel like, not certain yet, but I feel like I'm going to talk about the importance of dietary protein first, because I feel like that's such a fundamental thing that we need to understand. And why protein is important, why everything labeled with protein isn't actually all the same quality of protein, why all those things aren't all the same, and how do we kind of differentiate what we need versus what's just a bunch of gunk.
Yeah, there's very few diets or nutrition people out there that shy away from protein. It's a pretty like standard, everybody needs it kind of thing.
So yeah, excited for that.
Yeah.
And what's been keeping you busy these days?
Oh, nothing. Just, building a mini house. Everybody's seen we've been going to work, putting the office in, and we're getting close. Every day it's a little bit closer. All the hard, messy stuff's done now, and now it's just all the finishing details. So we're hoping to have that wrapped up. Definitely, we said end of June for sure, but we're pretty ahead of schedule. So I've been cramming in between classes and stuff, lots of construction and building and getting stuff ready. So we're going to have a new office for you.
I always just rave about you that you're like, I don't know what the word for this is, but whatever is the opposite of a procrastinator is like, you're just a getter-doner. Like
Getter-doner.
When you start a project, it is like nonstop until you just get it finished. So it's a great quality to be married to. Love it. Yes. And so useful now. You've learned so many things over the years. Someone the other day was like, how does David know how to do all this?
I know.
I was like, I don't even really know. A lot of YouTube and a lot of people in the community have helped you over the years, showed you how to frame and showed you how to do electrical and how to drywall. And now you just have all these skills. It's pretty cool.
I know. I've been lucky enough to have people from our community that were professionals in that field work with me and teach me like the right way to do things.
Yeah.
And so I've learned a lot over the years. And then anything that I didn't know, I just learn about it on YouTube and have at her and get her done.
You've only electrocuted yourself a handful of times.
Yeah, but I mean, what electrician hasn't electrocuted themselves a little bit?
You only stabbed your leg open once in the course of this.
So far my only incident was I was cutting flooring and the knife slipped, and I was wearing pants at the time, and I like jabbed it into my leg and just had that frozen moment of, I hope this isn't going to be a real bad bleeder. Yeah. And then I kind of like pulled my pants and I could see where it was. It wasn't that bad. I was like, okay. Didn't hit like the femoral artery. I'm not going to bleed out or anything like that.
Maybe could have had a stitch or two, but
probably. I put some steri strips on there. It was good to go. Okay. That's pretty good for how much stuff I've done. Just one little thing.
Yeah.
I was teaching Atlas how to do stuff as well. That was fun. He was learning the ropes.
That was so cute. He was like the other day in the kitchen, he's, I don't think about it all the time, but man, the stuff that Dad teaches me is like stuff I actually can use. Because he had gone to ride his bike somewhere and then turned around because his tires were flat. And you weren't even home. I didn't even notice he did this, but he just pulled out the air compressor, knew how to use it, knew how to pump his tires back up, and then just took off wherever he was going. He was like all proud of himself. He knew how to do stuff. So
I know.
Making people useful. And that's our goal with our kids, is make them self-sufficient and useful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's exciting. Almost done.
So the office is, I will share it with you, but we're saying it's my office. So BRIO Plus Nutrition will have a home, a healthcare home within the CrossFit affiliate, which is, the timing is so nice how this is all lining up with me finishing all my coursework for my master's and building an office and professionalizing the nutrition aspect of what we do as the CrossFit Medical Society is launching. And this is a lot of what they would like to see replicated in the affiliate, is trying to bring, those clinical type services, but into the gym. And I've been connected with lots of other affiliate owners / doctors / people that are on the same page and kind of like brainstorming ideas of how can we do this? How can we bring these things together? So I'm excited for that. It'll be my office. You'll be able to book appointments with me. We're also going to move the podcast studio in there so that we'll have more opportunity to sit down with other people to talk about things and don't have to go like, come into our closet.
We're going to walk through our bedroom here. Hold on a second.
So it'll be, and then also just like work-life balance, having my office at work and just working at work and then just being home at home.
Yeah.
Through COVID, there was a lot of mingling both those things together and then kind of doing both of them poorly. So I'm going to try to just do a little better job of that. So appreciate you working so hard at that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to be excited when I'm done. I'm not going to know what to do with myself.
I have it open on my phone. So CrossFit Medical Society, this is what they posted. Yesterday was an exciting day for a lot of us in the CrossFit and healthcare spaces. We recognize the collective efforts of everyone who made it possible to get to this point and push this new initiative forward. But when you sit back and think, we're actually just at the starting line, tying our shoelaces. We're now in the race to say, this is what healthcare should look like. We want to show the world how patient-practitioner relationships should be and reinforce to individuals how they can regain control of their healthcare journey. This idea that we can create true change in the world can only happen if the boots that were put on the ground yesterday continue to march forward today, tomorrow, and the day after. So let's not lose sight of the work that has to be done. Let's make what we say we can do become what we did. It's going to take the collective efforts of everyone, practitioners, affiliate owners, coaches, and community members. It's time to stop accepting mediocrity in the healthcare system. So cool. I think it's kind of neat how over the years, like Greg Glassman, founder of CrossFit, was like, holy shit, so much of fitness is bullshit. And he brought this empirical, scientifically rigorous definition of CrossFit and a way of measuring it and took all the bullshit out of it, right? What is fitness? It has a definition. We don't have to argue about my program is better than your program. And now we're just seeing the same thing he did with nutrition and went, not all diets work. Not all advice is good advice. It doesn't produce results. And then now we're seeing the same thing with the healthcare system. Not all treatments are valid and equal, and not all things produce the same results. And that if we stop hiding behind marketing and gimmicky things and statistical chicanery and like all this bullshit that's out there and get down to like go results first and work backwards from there of what is driving results.
Right.
Like the definition of fitness is work capacity across broad time and modal domains. We've kind of touched on this before. There isn't different types of fitness. There's just your ability to do stuff, your work capacity. How much work can you do? How much power can you generate? We measure it by power. Across broad time, can you do things high power for short times? Can you do medium power for medium amounts of time? And can you do low power for a long amount of time? You need to be good across all of those. And then modal domains means pretty much any task we could throw at you, you'd be like, yep, I'm going to be reasonably competent at doing that thing. That's fitness. There's no other type of fitness.
Right.
The ability for the mountain to deadlift 1,200 pounds on an elephant bar is cool. The ability for Eliud Kipchoge to run a sub 2 hour marathon is amazing, but those things are not fitness and those people are not fit.
Right.
Those are just elite examples of human specialized performance. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
But that's not fitness.
And the people that look really good up on stage wearing a bikini also doesn't mean you're super fit. Yeah. You're just very lean and you've got a lot of muscle mass, but especially like standing on stage, if you were to have any of them do any kind of activity, they would probably keel over because they're so unhealthy in that moment. They're so dehydrated and they're so starved and they're like unhealthy levels of leanness. That's not fitness either.
Some of them do keel over. They fly so hard. It's a common thing that people just go, pass out.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And it's funny because we associate like a physical appearance very much with signs of health, but we've pushed those physical appearance things so far that we often lose health and fitness in pursuit of looking a certain way. I remember Pat Sherwood once talking that he probably performs better if he's a little bit chubbier than he wishes he would. And it's probably the same for most of us, that if you get down to a super low body fat percentage, chances are your performance is going to be affected because of that.
And I don't know if you've seen the show, The Physical 100. People have been talking about it quite a bit.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we're going to tell you who wins. The second season just concluded. It's on Netflix. Yeah. And who won again?
The CrossFitter.
The CrossFitter, which should be a surprise to absolutely no one.
Yeah.
The CrossFit athlete is going to win that format every single time.
For sure. The Physical 100 is basically a TV show about one of the models of fitness in CrossFit, which is the hopper model. That if you just take random tasks and random things out of a hopper and say, okay, who can do this the fastest and who can lift this and who can move that and who can do this, the CrossFitter is going to be the one that wins, because he's not going to win. Let's say it's a 1 rep max deadlift. He's not going to win that one, but he's going to do pretty good. He's going to outlift all the runners and jazzercise people and whatever. He's not going to win the marathon because the ultra marathon runner is going to win that, but he's going to do better than all the powerlifters and all the whatever. And with enough tasks, enough broad spectrum of stuff, he's going to come on top because the specialists do really well at one thing and then horrible at everything else. So the most broad level of fitness is going to be the fittest person. And that's CrossFit. That's what we're doing here. And that's what the Physical 100 is testing. Yeah.
And the hopper model was a thought experiment from Greg on how you could think about fitness, but also how you could test for it.
Right.
And then it's how they programmed the very first CrossFit Games in 2007, literally wrote measurable tasks on ping pong balls and put them into this barrel and pulled them out at random.
Yeah. One of the workouts was the hopper. It was the one that ended up being push press, pull-ups, and running or something like that, I think. I don't remember exactly. That was a long time ago.
It's good knowledge of your CrossFit history, CrossFit trivia right there. But here's it's almost like it blows my mind. It surprises me that anybody would be surprised that the CrossFitter won.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we even having this show? The CrossFitter is going to win every time.
For sure.
But people seem to still be surprised by that. And maybe it's that like in fitness, there's so much bullshit that doesn't work that people almost expect that everything is bullshit that doesn't work. Except for CrossFit is not. That's what CrossFit changed about the fitness industry, in that CrossFit is results driven. CrossFit isn't thrusters. It isn't pull-ups. It isn't any single movement. It isn't any single way of programming. It's a results driven program. What drives increased work capacity across broad time and modal domains across the years of your life? Whatever inputs do that is what works. And so CrossFit, they call it open source fitness. When new things come along, we don't throw stones at it and call it stupid and write articles about why it's dangerous and it's probably bullshit. We just look at it and go, hey, does this thing increase work capacity across broad time and modal domains? Cool. Yoink, steal it, put it in the program.
Right.
So anything that works is CrossFit, and anything that is working to produce work capacity across broad time and modal domains is CrossFit's definition of constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity. Anything that's working is that. Call it CrossFit or not. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So like, 10 years ago, we've been around long enough to remember CrossFit gyms did not have air bikes.
Yeah, the good old days.
The good old days. But they were in like MMA gyms. The Schwinn Airdyne used to be, right? And then we were like, hey, are these things like really good at making people fitter? We're like, now they're everywhere. Now they're in every CrossFit gym. That's how CrossFit ended up with kettlebell training and Olympic weightlifting and gymnastics and powerlifting and some strongman movements and all these things. We didn't invent any of that.
No.
We just recognize its efficacy, and all of the things that don't work, waving ropes around with your arms and all kinds of other dumb shit that exists in the fitness industry, things that might be hard but aren't effective, didn't make the cut. They're not in the program, right? So it's the ultimate proving grounds of just, you have this kind of black box model. You have inputs. You don't even have to know or understand how the adaptations happened. All you know is that it produced results, and that's all that matters.
And so in recent years now, there's been a ton of like copycat offshoots. They're sort of like CrossFit, but they're not CrossFit because they don't incorporate all of the different things that work. They try to be like a CrossFit light without the barbells. But you need the barbells for it to be effective. Now you're just doing a sloppy boot camp kind of thing, or somebody does like a strength biased CrossFit thing and they never touch anything with cardio. And now you're just lifting, and you need to have all of those pieces for it to be a truly effective program. So CrossFit incorporates everything that's effective, and if it's not everything that's effective, it's not CrossFit. That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah. The most commonly programmed workout on CrossFit.com is run 5K.
Yeah.
So as much as, CrossFitters are known for being like running or whatever, or the, burpees, that kind of stuff. Well, even if you don't like it, you show up every day for it and you do all those things.
Yeah.
So a good CrossFit program incorporates heavy days.
Yeah.
It incorporates long stuff, but it lives in the short, high intensity things, mostly the glycolytic pathway in the middle.
Right.
We visit the heavy days, we visit the long stuff, but we live in the middle.
Yeah. And to truly benefit from CrossFit, you have to be putting the work in as well. You have to be the one that's like, I don't want to do burpees, but I'm going to go anyways. Or I suck at the snatch, but I'm going to take some time to work on it and try to improve. Attacking your weaknesses and just doing the uncomfortable things, that's what makes you better. And the most uncomfortable thing is intensity. Yeah. And so if you just for the last 10 years have been using the same weight and going at the same pace and doing the same thing, you are not pushing intensity. You're only going to get so far without doing the thing.
CrossFit is this formula that's so effective, it seems to work as if by magic, but it's actually deeply rooted in scientifically rigorous principles of measuring power output and work capacity. And you could graph it and do calculus and all that kind of stuff. It's measurable results. They're observable, measurable, repeatable. And the formula, it's like pieces of a puzzle. If you use all the pieces, it works 100% of the time to produce the fittest possible version of you. And fitness is health. So use those words interchangeably. The healthiest version of you, the fittest version of you. Health is just your fitness across all the years of your life at an age axis. So what's the formula? Well, CrossFit is constantly varied functional movement executed at your relatively high intensity relative to your physical and psychological tolerances. We followed the charter for safety, which is to have good mechanics first, to apply those good mechanics consistently, which means across all your reps, from fresh to tired, from light to heavy, but also to show up in the gym and do CrossFit consistently.
Right.
And then you apply intensity, and you do that by, going heavier or more reps or faster. You eat meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. So you avoid processed foods and alcohol. So it's like you put all these pieces together, and that 100% of the time produces the fittest version of you. But if you take one of those puzzle pieces and just turn it over, or take it out of the puzzle, you're like, I'm going to do constantly varied functional movement, but I'm not going to work that hard. I'm not going to apply intensity. It's like, you're not going to get as fit. I'm going to train really hard. I'm going to do all the right things in the gym. I'm going to have great mechanics. I'm going to show up consistently. I'm going to apply intensity, but I'm going to eat like shit.
I'm going to eat Captain Crunch for breakfast.
Not even like that, but you're like, I'm going to eat chicken Caesar salads and drive through breakfast sandwiches, and I'm going to put sugar in my coffee, and I'm going to eat Kodiak cakes, pancakes, and like, you're just going to eat like shit. You're not going to get the same level of results. You'll get some version.
Yeah.
Or if you're like, I'm going to not do constantly varied functional movements. I'm going to do the same routine of bodybuilding splits, isolated movements. You're not going to get as fit, right? So like, you could keep doing this with each aspect of it. I'm going to drink every day. I'm going to have shitty mechanics. I'm going to only come to the gym sporadically once a week or less, or something like that. So anybody that is not getting results from CrossFit is missing one of those pieces. And if you just know that and you accept that, then that's fine. You're like, I just work too much. I just can't get to the gym more than 2 days a week. Well, 2 is better than 0.
For sure.
So that's better, but you shouldn't be surprised. If you only work out 2 days a week, you get the results of someone that works out 2 days a week. Or if your movement is garbage, you shouldn't be surprised when you have injuries and joint pain.
Right.
Yes. That's what happens when you don't prioritize good mechanics, etc.
Yeah. We're talking about maximizing. Like 5 out of 5 is ideal, but 4 out of 5 is better than 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 is better than 2 out of 5. So as the more of that stuff you're doing, the more effective, the more beneficial it's going to be. But even just showing up 2 times a week and like eating well most of the time, and all that is better than just being like, fuck it, and just doing whatever the hell you want. So it's not that it's all or nothing. There's just a gradient of the more you can do, the more effective it's going to be. Perfect is the enemy of good enough. Isn't that what they say? If you're that type of person that goes, well, if I can't do it perfect, then I'm not going to do it at all. You're like, well, that's self-sabotaging. Sure. That's not a good mindset. But also, don't let good be the enemy of great, right? If you're like, my technique's good enough, I don't need to work on it anymore. It's like, but could your squat be a little better? Would 67-year-old you be thanking you if you make your squat a little better when you're 37? Like, there's those things that you're putting into your savings account for the future. So. And I think one of the cool things about CrossFitting, like with a community, is that you get to see into the future, right? Like we have so many young people and so many middle-aged people and so many older people that you can be like, okay, so if I put the work in now when I'm 60 or 70 or whatever, here's what I'm still going to be able to do. And it's like glimpsing into the future. It's a motivating thing for sure. Especially when you like go out into the real world and you see how decrepit some people are, and you're like, oh my God, this person's 50 and they're moving around like they're 80. This dude at my gym's 70 and he's moving around like he's 50. There's something motivating about that community aspect. I follow the CrossFit subreddit. I almost never post things. I just like to lurk and see what people are saying. But there was a girl that posted. She's like, I'm 23. I was thinking about starting CrossFit. I'm not sure if I should. I'm like really uncoordinated. I'm like not athletic. I'm not sure if it's for me. And I was like, oh, I'm you, but in the future. I was like, let me tell you, I started CrossFit when I was 24. I had never played sports. I was the least athletic person imaginable. This is an aside. I just came across a video of us from 2007 or 8 practicing cleans in a park with the barbell. Yeah. And we both it was a train wreck. Hilarious. We were so bad at it. I'm going to post it because it was sort of like if I can do it, anybody can do it. It was so funny. So, but then I was like, I started CrossFit when I was 24. I've been doing it for 16 years. Now I'm 40. Let me tell you, I feel like writing a thank you letter to my 24-year-old self because man, this muscle mass, this bone density, these healthy joints, this good mental health, all this energy I have, all of the cool things my body can do, the capability to go have fun with my kids in the mountains and all of it. I can't even say enough good things about what it's added to my quality of life. And so to this girl, I was like, I'm you in the future. I was like, do it now. Your future self will be so thankful that you did. Yeah. And just don't ever stop and just do the thing. And I'm glad that we got into CrossFit when we did and learned the methodology from Greg and never really got super distracted from that for any length of time. Just technique is king. Mechanics are king. Learn to move well. Apply intensity to one workout a day. I've rarely ever
been the type of person that trained double days. The other thing I see in the CrossFit subreddit all the time, I'm going to start saving them because I think it's funny. I've been following Proven. I've been working out for 2.5 hours a day, 7 days a week for like 3 or 4 years. And I'm just feeling kind of burnt out. Does anyone ever feel like that? I'm just not sure that I want to do CrossFit anymore. You're like, oh my God. And it's always like, I've been following CompTrain. I've been following Proven. I've been following HWPO. And it's always these programs that sell you more stuff. And it's so hard for the human psyche to wrap our heads around. More is not more.
Right.
You don't get fitter by doing more shit. You get fitter by doing less, but better.
I think that the difference between what are the needs of a CrossFit Games athlete and what are the needs of a normal human, right? The CrossFit Games athlete, the amount of stuff you have to be good at is staggering. And so to be able to prepare for it, you have to spend a lot of time working on your weaknesses and doing all the things. Even at the CrossFit Games, they do 5 events in a day sometimes, right? So the needs of that person are very different than the needs of just a normal human. But a professional athlete is a blip in time. You know, you are a professional athlete for a very short amount of time, and then you face the consequences of that afterwards. So sure, there's people out there that train brutal hard for however many years until they burn out or they get hurt or they just are too old to compete anymore. And then they're done. And then there's the people that will never be at that level looking up being like, well, if they need to do that, then I need to do that. No, dude, like you need to play the long game. You need to train for the next 50 years. Don't use up all of your workouts in a 5-year period and then never be able to do it again. It's a totally different thing. And I think that's the downside of all these CrossFit Games athletes having their own programming is you're coming from a games mental side, like a game standpoint, and the average person is not a games athlete.
Yeah, not even close. I feel like I love the CrossFit Games. It's awesome. I dedicate a big chunk of my summer to supporting it by being there to work and everything. But I also know that the CrossFit Games is so far removed from CrossFit, the methodology, that those two things are barely even related to each other. But the CrossFit Games is what gets a lot of the media attention. It's what people see. It's what maybe draws people in. And then therefore it becomes what people think that they're aiming at. They think that that's CrossFit, that that's what we're trying to do. So that's a bit of a challenge too, to get people to understand like what is CrossFit. And there's a few of the games athletes that get it and they do a great job. And honestly, they're the ones with the longevity in the sport.
Yeah.
Ben Smith owns an affiliate, coaches people, understands the CrossFit methodology. Scott Panchik, all the Panchik bros, they, own an affiliate, CrossFit Mentality. Like they do a great job. Scott Panchik, I think, just got his level 3. Like the ones that get it are the ones that have the longevity in the sport. And then there's other ones that have never trained an affiliate. Half the time they train alone in their garage or whatever. They don't really understand CrossFit, the methodology. They're just beating themselves down with volume to see, how fit they can get. And a small percentage of humans can withstand that and they do get fitter. But what you don't see in the CrossFit Games is all of basically the dead bodies littered along that road to get there of people that didn't make it.
Yeah.
That just couldn't survive programs like that.
Yeah.
Training like that.
And especially when a lot of these high level people get to do this as their profession, right? If your full-time job is working out and then recovering from your workouts, you're going to be great. If you're also trying to work 40 hours a week and take care of your kids and run around and do all this stuff and then do that level of training, like, forget about it. You're done. You've got 1 or 2 years before your body just starts to break down.
I think we've talked about before the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum, right? Fitness is where all health markers are pushed into the best third of the range. Wellness is the middle where your doctor's like, you're fine. And then sick is where something's pathological. We always show it as like this half circle that ends at fitness. I do think it really could come all the way back around, and that competition exists in some other part of that continuum further away from fitness, which is health, right? Because you start to cause joint damage or hormonal dysfunction or immune suppression, or, you start to get into a variety of anti-health issues associated with training that way. And that I always try to be super clear. Like, that's fine. I'm not here to talk anybody out of their goals, or, you shouldn't try to pursue elite things of human performance, but we just have to be realistic that those things exist at odds with health.
Yeah.
And what we do, what BRIO's all about, is health, optimizing health, which is optimizing fitness, right? We keep saying, use those words interchangeably. And we're in it for the long game.
we've been in it for the long game already.
We're old now.
We're old school when it comes to the CrossFit world for sure.
We are old. I think it's cool to see now though, that like all these things that were maybe theoretical or controversial at the time, that we went all in on being like, this is going to work. It's kind of a gamble at the time. And now we're seeing it play out. We're like, it works.
Yep.
The way we chose to raise our kids, the things I chose to feed them, the things we chose to absolutely not do or participate in, or, you know, many of the standard mainstream things that we were like, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like feeling pretty solid in a lot of the decisions I made.
Things are going well. So I guess overall, we're just really moving in the direction of, like, I feel it is the health home, and we want to be part of making people healthy and doing it for the long run, and being old, getting old together and staying fit and active and being able to do the cool stuff. So the new office will be part of that,
and being committed to what works.
Yeah.
In all aspects. Cool. Excited for what's coming up. All right.
Fun times.
See you guys in the next one.
See ya.